Kings and princes have always taken mistresses, women chosen for pleasure, not pedigree. Some, like Nell Gwyn, were catapulted from the stage to the palace and ended up tilted and wealthy. Others, like Mrs. Jordan, gave everything to a royal lover and died forgotten, broke and alone. But by the 20th century, the British royal family had a new tactic. No more scandal, no loose ends. The solution? Pay them off, handsomely, silently, and make sure they vanished. Because of being a royal mistress, that was never meant to last. Before we get started, if you want to support the channel and find all my links in one place, just scan the QR code on screen. And why not join my Patreon? It's completely free for a 7-day trial, and you can grab my Tudor colouring book as a thank you of my appreciation. So thanks for your support. Now, let's get into this week's story. For some women, becoming a royal mistress was a golden ticket to fame, wealth and influence. For others, it led straight to ruin. Erol Markham was never one to follow the rules. Tall, striking and fiercely independent, she grew up among racehorses and scandals in colonial Kenya's notorious Happy Valley, set in a world of sun-drenched affairs, drugs and decadence. When two British princes came to visit in the 1920s, Edward, the dashing heir to the throne, and his younger brother Harry, Duke of Gloucester, Beryl didn't pick sides. She took them both. In one scandalous season, she bedded each in turn, playing a dangerous game with the House of Windsor. Eventually, she chose Harry, the more vulnerable of the two. Back in England, he kept her close, installing her in a discreet hotel just behind the gates of Buckingham Palace. From there, Beryl could slip in and out of royal life without ever being seen. But then came the twist. Beryl told Harry she was pregnant and that he was the father. The news sent shockwaves through the royal household. Harry, besotted and terrified, was quickly removed and dispatched to Japan on a diplomatic tour. Beryl gave birth to a son, but the palace was already cleaning up. Queen Mary, a master of quiet damage control, made sure Beryl was paid, silenced, and sent packing. No title, no security, just money and instructions to disappear. Was it cold? Well, without question. But in the brutal world of royalty, where bloodlines mattered more than broken hearts, it was almost generous. Erol Markham didn't just walk away from the royal affair with a story. She walked away with a lifetime paycheck. The palace thought they were solving a problem, but Beryl had already won. Because here's the twist, the baby wasn't even Harry's. If the poor man had bothered to count the months, he would have realised it wasn't possible. But he didn't, he just paid up, or rather, the crown did. As for Beryl, she took the money, disappeared, and reinvented herself. So from royal mistress to record-breaking aviator, she turned scandal into stardom. But not every woman who tangled with royalty flew so high. Kiki Preston, a stunning heiress from the Vanderbilt dynasty, lived fast in 1920s Paris. That's where she caught the eye of George, Duke of Kent, the most rakish of the royal sons. George came for romance. Kiki gave him that, and something darker. She pulled him into a world of champagne, cocaine, and morphine, and George couldn't resist her or her drugs. And when he returned to England, Kiki followed. But this time the royals were ready. Courtiers knocked at her door with a simple message: leave quietly and immediately. And she did. Still, the whispers never stopped. People said Kiki had taken something with her. A child, a royal bastard, a son born in secret and hidden away. But in a final twist, the truth broke from the rumours. Yes, a royal child was born in 1926, but it wasn't Kiki's, and it wasn't George's. The palace may have buried some of the truth, but not all of it. And who was the birth father of that mystery royal child? Not George as the rumours claimed, but once again the ever-gullible Harry, Duke of Gloucester. The woman was Violet Evans, the beautiful daughter of a wealthy Canadian coal magnate. With her money and charm, Violet slipped easily into royal circles, and it wasn't long before she was in Harry's bed. But when Violet became pregnant, the palace moved fast. A cover story was arranged. A cavalry officer named Ian Carslake, a reliable and discreet man, married Violet and whisked her off to Switzerland. There the child was born in secret and handed over to an adoption agency. No titles, no scandal, and no trace. The marriage didn't last. Violet, haunted by the loss of her child, spiraled into despair. In 1951, she locked herself in a bedroom and took her own life with gas. A tragic echo of Kiki Preston, who had thrown herself from a New York hotel balcony just 5 years earlier. But even those grim tales pale next to the strangest of them all, the story of Marjorie Haden. She was striking, with dark hair and a clever mind. Married to an officer in the Indian Army, she joined her husband on a royal tour of India in 1890. But also on that tour was Prince Albert Victor, Eddie, heir to the throne, who was infamous for his lust and poor judgment. Eddie and Marjorie didn't just flirt, they had a full-blown affair. It's not speculation. Years later, royal lawyers scrambled to buy back the steamy love letters he wrote her, trying desperately to erase the evidence. But Marjorie wasn't content with being a dirty little secret. She returned to London, left her husband and children behind, and showed up with a baby boy, claiming he was Prince Eddie's, and named him Clarence. The scandal exploded. The child wasn't Eddie's, however, the drama that followed was wild. A courtroom circus marked by public accusations, desperate bribes, and a payout of just £5 to make it all disappear. One woman, one prince, one child, and a story that sounds more like fiction than fact. Except it happened. Every word of it. After an affair with Prince Eddie, Marjorie Haden wasn't finished. She took up with an officer from the King's Scottish Borderers, likely the birth father of her son, and holed up in a guest house in Paddington. But she wanted more than shelter. She wanted recognition, money, and a future. But Prince Eddie was already dead, struck down by influenza at just 28. Palace moved swiftly. After recovering his love letters, the ones that could ruin everything, royal courtiers gave Marjorie her marching orders, a one-way ticket back to India, and £5. It was the start of her long, slow fall. She changed her name often from Marjorie to Mary and then Maria, and her husband did the same just as quickly. Her marriage collapsed. She tangled with a local doctor in a scandalous affair that ended in court, and by 1898, her reputation was in tatters. She tried again by marrying a soldier from the Royal Warwickshire Regiment. Again that failed. Then came a bootmaker named Gobold. To hook him, she shaved 10 years off her age and created a new family background. They moved to Australia, where Gobold died not long after. Now alone and unravelling, Marjorie returned to London. In 1912, she stood outside Buckingham Palace, dishevelled, mentally unstable, and armed with 2 loaded pistols. She claimed the royal family owed her, she demanded they buy 2 properties she owned. Once the lover of a future king, who was now seen as a dangerous nuisance, she was bundled away and erased. But her story didn't end there. She told her son, Guy Haden, that he was the illegitimate child of Prince Eddie, and she renamed him Clarence Haden after Eddie's title, the Duke of Clarence and Avondale, and he believed every word. Years later, Clarence published a book, King George My Uncle, in which he states his claim to royal blood, and once again, the palace went into crisis mode. He sent threatening letters to George V demanding hush money. The price of his silence, £3,000 a year. But when the palace refused, Clarence threatened to parade through London with billboards declaring himself the king's nephew. He was watched, followed, arrested and released, and arrested again. Clarence died in 1943 at the age of 52, still clinging to his mother's lie, convinced he was born royal. And after all the chaos, the scandals, the pregnancies, the suicides, the blackmail, it became clear the royals needed a better way to deal with their discarded mistresses. Because of the old ways, they were no longer enough. If you missed the opportunity at the start of this video, then here's your second chance. If you'd like to support the channel and find all my links, just scan the QR code on screen and join Patreon for free for a 7-day trial. Now, every bit of support helps me keep making videos like this. Even a thumbs up or comment on the video increases its chances of being seen by more people, and I really appreciate you being here, so thanks for watching.